Hey Gator fans, I am joined by Mark Richt, coach of the Georgia Bulldogs from 2001 to 2015. He was involved in some of the very best Florida Georgia matchups. Thanks for joining me, coach. I am really excited to have you.
It's good to be here. I didn't know this was a Gator show, but I'm fired up.
It is. Okay, so I'm sure that you have a lot of great memories of this really special rivalry, but do you have a favorite moment or memory?
Well, you had to ask me that. I should have went back and looked on the years. There weren't that many great ones when you go 5 and 10 out of 15 years wasn't that great of a record for me. But everybody wants to point to the game where we celebrated in the end zone, and I know the Gator fans hate it, and the Georgia fans loved it, and thankfully we actually won that game. Or that might have been my last game coaching at Georgia. I'll be honest with you, but. The thing about that story that not everybody knows or believes is it was not really designed to happen the way it did. When I was the offensive coordinator at Florida State, there's a couple times in there where we were beating everybody in the ACC pretty good. And we really didn't have a lot of enthusiasm at a lot of these games. So as the offensive coordinator, I talked to the offense and said, look, next ball game, the first time we score, I want everybody to celebrate hard enough to get a penalty. And I said, don't worry about Coach Bowden. I'll take care of him. You guys just let's generate some energy because we don't have it, right? So that kind of worked to that particular day. And then a couple of years later down the road, I went on to coach at Georgia. We'd always played Vanderbilt, open date, and then Florida. We played Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, and I mean, barely won by the skin of our teeth. We had a last-second field goal to win the game, and it's one of those games where we had no juice at all. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Then I remember what I did back at Florida State. Said, hey, we'll just if we happen to score a touchdown early on, let's see if we can get the guys to celebrate, get everybody fired up. So that was the plan I'd given them. And during practice for that ball game, every time an offensive player would score a touchdown against the scout team, he'd do a little dance or he'd spike it over the goalpost or do some kind of individual celebration, which I wasn't really interested in. And so the night before the game, I said, look, I want to clarify a couple of things. I said, number one, I talked about celebrating as a team. I talked about celebrating after the first score of the game. I said, but all I saw was individual celebrations. I want a team celebration. So when I said team celebration, they thought I meant the whole team. And I didn't realize that at the time. The other thing I said is, look, if the first time we score is in the fourth quarter and we're losing by 30, we're not celebrating. I said, so it's got to be in the first quarter or we're not doing it. So anyway, when I said team celebration, they took it as everybody on the team. And so, we get the first score of the game and we have a 3rd and goal from the 1 yard line. And No. Sean Moreno reaches over, the refs throw their hands up. The guys on the field start celebrating, which I expected. And then like a whoosh of another 40, 50 guys came off the sideline and started dancing. And I was pretty bewildered for a moment. And then I got into the spirit of it. But, the bottom line was I had one kid standing next to me named Dan L. Ellerby. And I'm like, why you standing here next to me? Why aren't you out there with the rest of the guys? He said, well, I'm so deep in your doghouse, coach. There's no way I'm going out there. So anyway, and the other thing on that is that play went to review. And if we'd have been short by an inch, it'd have been, we got 2 flags for, unsportsmanlike conduct. So it'd have been 3rd and 31 from the 31 yard line and never would have scored from there. And probably would have been my last game as head coach there. But as it turned out, the fans did get riled up and we did win the game. So it worked out.
Well, then the next year, Florida beats Georgia and Urban takes all of those timeouts, for payback for the
Oh yeah.
Gators stop.
I thought it was good gamesmanship. I actually wasn't mad at that. I thought that was pretty good. Actually, I thought I might use that in the future.
That was going to be my question. What were you thinking while that was happening?
Yeah, well, I felt like I thought it was a good idea by him. I mean, they earned the right to do it, and I really wasn't upset about it. I was like, it makes sense after what happened a year ago for sure. And I think people still probably don't believe me when I tell the story, but I had no intention of the entire team doing it. It was just the team. When I said team, I meant team on the field, not an individual celebration. But whatever anybody wants to believe, who knows? But that's
Well,
how I know.
I talked to Urban a few minutes ago and he's still pissed, but he's pissed because he thinks it means that his team was soft. That's the way he told me. He's like, our '06 team, that wouldn't have happened to them. Our '08 team, our '07 team was just not tough enough, or that wouldn't have been able to happen.
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't blame him for being pissed. I mean, there's a lot of people pissed off, but my AD was pissed off. So,
well,
again, if that play went to review and it went to 3rd and 31 and we don't score and get beat, that'd have been horrible. It'd have been bad. I mean, it might have been the end of me at Georgia.
this rivalry is, one of the best in the SEC. I think it's one of the best in college football.
Oh yeah.
What makes it mean so much more?
Oh gosh, I think part of it is just recruiting a lot of the same kids. I think just the history of the series, the fact that it is a special game because of where it's played every year. You don't have a special rivalry. You don't have a game in a site like a neutral site like that, which isn't very neutral, by the way. That's another thing. Do you think it's fair to say that a neutral game is in the state of Florida every year?
Well, funny you should say that because at least in 2026, it's going to go to Atlanta while they're renovating the stadium in Jacksonville, and then in Tampa in 2027. Is that exciting for you? Are you excited to see it,
No,
Georgia?
I think the game should be played. Those two games, I think, should be home and away. Personally, that during the break from the series. But if you want to make the neutral site really fair, I think one game should be in a neutral site in Georgia. It used to be the Georgia Dome. Now it's Mercedes-Benz. I think that'd be fair to be neutral. And then every other year go to the Gator Bowl. That sounds like a neutral site too for Florida. But anyway, I think it should alternate as far as neutral site in each state. I think the state of Georgia should benefit from that windfall of fans and money and everything else.
It is definitely a sight to see the 200, 200,000-ish people that show up just to
Right.
tailgate. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool. I mean, even like the first time I coached in that game, first, I really wasn't sure how the fans were divided. I don't know why, but I thought it'd be from the 50-yard line around, through the back of the end zone. But it's actually, goalpost to goalpost, which makes more sense when you talk about sound and all that kind of thing. So, but the thing about the intensity of that game is some of these fans are always cheering, and so it's loud all the time. Where a home game,
Yeah.
your fans normally are quiet when you have the ball and loud when they have the ball. But in this game, one of the fan bases are going nuts. So it's pretty cool.
In 2006, my husband was Florida's punter, Eric Wilbur, and he had a 20-yard fake that he ran against you. How in the world did you let that happen with a punter?
I have no idea. We must have underestimated his athleticism.
Apparently so.